What have been some of the arcs that you've liked this season? Like, you know, personally, I thought it was genius when they brought on, like, Will Wheaton, and then the return of evil Will Wheaton.
Yeah. He's a perfect foil for Sheldon. You can probably pick this up just by knowing seeing Will Wheaton do something, but just to meet him, he is so... I always want to say the word innocuous, but that makes it sound like he doesn't make an impression. That's not true. But as far as... There's nothing to dislike as a person. And so friendly and so warm and so giving. And so it makes such sense that, of course, that's an enemy for Sheldon. Now, you know, Sheldon doesn't hate him because he's nice as a person, but of course Sheldon bothers when he won't bother to feel passion or take the time to have a love interest or do something that, you know, like reproduce or whatever. No. Instead, he does find such time to relish this hatred of a star who disappointed him in an autograph line once, you know, and one of the nicest celebrities you could ever meet. So that's been fun. I've enjoyed the arc of the continuing Bazinga, you know. First time I heard that word, I was like, well, that's odd. And it's just been so fun to have that grow and become, you know, like a thing. You know, you wonder how, or I would wonder how, something like a tagline developed for a character. Well, there you go. There's one.
It's like, I actually found something online earlier today called the Bazinga button, where if you go to the website, you can just hit with your mouse, you just hit the button over and over again, and you say Bazinga.
I make no money from that. None. Charming. Okay, go on. No, it's really cute, actually.
And, you know, given how kind of like identified you are with this character, I was wondering if we could talk a bit about, you know, how you first came to it. Like, you know, what were your impressions, you know, when your agent sent you the script for this character who's...
as much as anything, I simply took to the rhythm of his speech. I really liked the way he tried to communicate with other people. I really liked the convoluted, awkward way in which he tried to make a point. You know, it was a harrowing audition for that very reason, because it was so, you know, it gets easier as you do it a little bit, but it's not very naturalistic speak. And so it was hard to get ready for the audition, but I really worked at it because something in it connected, and not storyline, although I didn't have a problem with it, but I don't even remember what I thought about the whole pilot. I don't remember what I thought about any other character in it or whatever. I just simply knew there was something about the way this guy talked that I enjoyed and wanted to do, and felt that I didn't know what they were looking for exactly, but I really thought that I should be in a final group of 5 or whatever that they were considering. It sounds so conceited. I don't think it is. It's really just kind of knowing, you know, let me say the other side of that coin is that this is probably the 20th pilot I'd gone in for that year, and, you know, most of those were, I could maybe make that fit. Yeah, I could see one. I could do that, you know. So to find one, that's how rare it is. You know, it was 1 out of 20 that you looked at and went, yes, this I can see. And luckily they did too.
Because it's like up to that point you had been auditioning, you had bit parts in like various TV shows.
Yeah.
And
I should have set it up. I really couldn't have set it up, though. I don't remember exactly what the hell happened. Apparently they were trying to get married, and she wanted to get married there. That was their very first TV show I ever did.
Not bad company to be in.
It was wonderful company.
Very first show.
Not only that, though, when I heard they were going to use this clip, it was the first time I've seen it, obviously. I was stunned. Julie Bowen and John Slattery were... First off, I was like, oh, you know what's funny? We're all on TV shows right now, which is really just funny, or I guess. But they were both so... And now I see this more than I did whenever that was, 2002, so 8 years ago. They were so unnecessarily nice and encouraging. Like, Julie was taking me aside, John says he thinks you're great. He says, watch him, he's going to do things. And I was like, oh, really? And, you know, and she was having me back to her trailer to talk. it was just so, you know, I'm so glad that this came up this way because I had kind of forgotten about that. And I think that I'm nice to people that are on our set. I'm also very concerned about learning my own stuff, so sometimes I'm probably not as talkative as I could be. And boy, they were. And it made me feel all the different for it, you know. And I have very long hair for me. But anyway.
Do you find that you've kind of reached a point where like other actors are kind of coming to you for advice now on like how to get their career started or acting tips?
Some. It's a really, really hard issue, I think, because everybody's path is so particular, and there's no roadmap that's completely laid in stone for it. You know, the only consistent thing I ever say is if you want to do it, just keep doing it. You know. And because that's the only thing I can think of that, you know, because like, what do you can tell somebody how you did it. I went to undergrad, then I went to grad school, and then I had a showcase, and I got well, I mean, this is really a particular path, you know, and I had to take out loans. You know, so consistency in your effort is what I always say as far, you know, you must find a way to do the work because you're only going to learn by doing the work, you know. Each experience, good and bad, offers reams of material for your subconscious as you move on. That was very deep.
And earlier today we were talking about how you've actually just signed on for your first film role since starting The Big Bang Theory.
I'm going to do a small part in a movie called The Big Year. It's about people who go bird watching, and to have a big year is to spot as many species as you can. For those who don't know, I had no idea. And I will be a bird watcher who runs a blog about bird watching. I'm sure it's more interesting than that.
But, you know, when you were starting out, like, was it the sort of thing where you had kind of this career path that you were thinking that you wanted to follow? Okay.
No, not at all. I really didn't. I'd grown up doing tons of theater in Houston and everything, and I was just talking about this today. No, I just knew, and it all relates in the way, like I talked about how I felt when, like, I read Sheldon, the character. Whatever the medium, theater, television, film, whatever it is, that's what it always is. More than the tone of the film, more than the tone of the play, whatever it is there somebody in, you know, I do it all the time still. When they read this script to see if you're interested or whatever, and it's like, you know, it's sometimes hard to read because you get like halfway through it and you're like, I've got other things to do. And some people are like, well, if you don't care for it, you could stop reading at a certain point. My problem is I don't know when the character I'm supposed to play is going to enter. And so I could be reading something going, I don't know. And suddenly this character will pop up, then I'm like, I can totally do this. I should be saying this, or I should be considered. And that's why I don't think I didn't have a path as far as where should I go. I should be doing TV. Where's the guy to play, you know? And that's what I'm still going for.
And, you know, in terms of, like, you know, character development, you know, you're looking for these characters, like, how much more do you think Sheldon has to grow? Like, you know, are you still discovering new things?
In one way, it's infinite, you know.
Yeah.
And in one way, it's, I haven't made it my business. I've never suggested things to the writers. They've never asked me either. They will ask weird questions like, do you know how to play the recorder? I did in elementary school. The only one they asked me that never came to fruition was, can you ride a unicycle? I was like, no, but I'd be willing to learn. And everybody around me was like, that's so dangerous. I was like, well, I mean, I'm assuming they'd put mats around me and stuff, but that's exactly the kind of injury 50 years from now. It's like we were doing Big Bang, and I fell and hit my neck, and I've never been the same. I've been on Vicodin ever since. What were you asking me? What was it really?
How do you kind of see Sheldon's character growing?
I don't know. And well, this is what I was going to say, is because this I also talked about with somebody today, was the fact of dealing with the character unfolding on this show. Well, first off, this speaks to the trust I have in these writers. But there's a certain aspect, too, of I don't want to step in the way of something wonderful happening. And in some ways, it's hard to relinquish that control. It's like, oh, wouldn't it be fun if... And there's nothing wrong with me suggesting that, and maybe at some point I will suggest something, but at the same time, I love what they're coming up with, and even if I had a good idea, I don't want my good idea to derail something